Hi guys, welcome once again to our Overcomers 12-step program. This is step 3, day 21, and we're moving along well. So I'm going to do our serenity prayer and try to really concentrate on this and let this be a prayer that's easy for you to do. I encourage you to get a copy of it. I believe you can go online and just download the serenity prayer from the 12-step Overcomers program. There's one that's from the AA program. It's slightly different, very similar. This one's adopted to fit the purposes of this book. So, serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to do your will, so that I may be happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. So this one here, and then we're going to, is day 3, chapter 21. I'm thinking of Bible verse. Day 3, step 3, day 21. And the step 1, I admit that I am powerless over the problem controlling my life. Step 2, I acknowledge my belief that God, the source of all power, will restore me to sanity and sobriety. Step 3, the major one for a breakthrough, which you're in right now, is I make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as He instructs you. Step 4, I determine to work with God to make a daily inspection of my character. Step 5, I admit the exact nature of my character defects to God, myself, and another person. Step 6, I am ready to let God remove all character defects. Step 7, I humbly ask God to place positive character qualities in me. Step 8, I make a list of all the people I've harmed and become willing to make amends. I make sincere amends to the people I have harmed and forgive those who have harmed me is step 9. Step 10, I continue to practice daily what I've learned. Step 11, I seek to strengthen my relationship with God through prayer and meditation. I determine to take this message of God's peace and freedom to others. All right, and this step 3, day 21, is you can say this with me. I want you to keep letting your ears hear the decision you're making. I make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as He instructs me. And so for those of you that have been in the faith for a while, you're saying this as a continual surrender. I make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as He instructs me. So the reason you're taking the Overcomers book is there's some things that have been lacking in your life, and you're just going to get deeper and deeper every time you do this. Some of you have done it before, maybe never gone right through it all the way, but even if you've gone through this all the way 3 times, 7 times, you're still going to gain from it each time. It's like growing a relationship with your loved one. You say, I love you all the time. Some things are very common, but it just gets deeper and richer. And hopefully as you grow older with your loved one, you have really lovely memories and cherished times that you remember together. So you're making a decision to turn your will and life over to the care of God as He instructs you. An obedient heart toward godly instruction is the first proof that you've made Jesus your Lord. If you're saying, I'm letting Jesus be in my corner, He's my trainer, He's my equipper, you'd submit to a trainer in the gym if you want to gain. Many of us have a trainer. Most fighters have a trainer in their corner, and they listen to them. They see their weaknesses, they see their strengths. And the ones that do well are the ones that listen to their trainer and their team in the corner. And so you have Jesus in your corner. He's your trainer, your manager, your Lord. And as you grasp that, you're going to say, wow, I got the greatest trainer in my corner, the greatest Lord in my corner that I could ever have. And He's going to lead you into success. So that's the way you have to see it. An obedient heart toward, and if you struggle with the word obedient, remember again, we talked about being a prisoner to doing what's right. If you've been, beaten into obedience and you do what I tell you because there may be some reactions in you to the word obedient. And I want to encourage you today, that's one of the strongholds you want to cast down. Get the distorted view of obedience, being obedient to a dictator. This is not what this is about. Being obedient to someone who's overpowering to you. This is not what this is about. You're an adult now. You can choose who you're going to be obedient to. We're all going to serve somebody. And you're going to make a decision as you move along to be obedient to the truth. And as you do it by choice, it's going to become so easy because you're going to enjoy it. But if you go into it like this, oh yeah, I got to learn obedience. I see where this is going. That's a tough one on your old nature. But if you see the goodness in it and say, you know what, doing it my own way, how's it working for you? Honestly, I'd like to ask that question. How is it working for you? Being your own Lord, being your own manager. So you got to say, well, hasn't been so good. So now you're going to make Jesus your Lord, and he's going to direct you into ways that are going to blow your mind. Talk about freedom, Convoy. This is going to blow your mind. Freedom that comes through obedience. An obedient heart, so see this in a positive way. Start establishing new ways of thinking. Lord, give me an obedient heart towards what is right, good instruction. An obedient heart toward godly instruction is the first proof that you have made Jesus your Lord. The second proof is that you have become less self-absorbed and begun to serve others. That's going to be a natural overflow of an obedient heart to the Lord. You're going to be a blessing to many. You're going to reap far more than you ever give up here. Jesus demonstrated how to be a humble servant when he selflessly washed the feet of his disciples. Can you imagine? This is in the Gospel of John 13. Go read it if you want. Here's the Lord of all creation, the night before he gives up his life for the sins of the world, and he wants to meet in an intimate setting with his disciples, those that followed him and believed in him to the end. And he begins to take this bowl of water and soap and a towel over his shoulder, and he begins to go around and wash the disciples' feet. Imagine that. Like, he was showing he's not a dictator. He loves, he serves, he's teaching us a new way of life. So you're being obedient to someone who loves you, who's got your back, who's got your best at heart. Give your all into this, and you're going to sail and do some amazing things in your life. This is a huge breakthrough. Say, Lord, I want to develop an obedient heart to the things that are right. It just means you're choosing to do what's right. And you're going to, Lord, I want to be a slave, even that. Lord, I want to be a slave to doing what's right. I'm tired of being a slave to gambling and porn and drugs and drinking and men or women. I'm tired of being a slave to all that, a slave to what people think of me. I want to be free. And obedience to the truth brings you into freedom. He whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And so you're going to be free. I want to see you free. And you're going to, one day you're going to see, you know what? This thing of obedience, I don't know how I missed it. And the way you missed it is because your mind was distorted on power trippers and those that were heavy in authority. Anyone that's ever been in the prison system or heavy-handed parents or guardians, it makes us cringe at the thought of being obedient to dictators. And I get it. I don't want to submit to a dictator either. But I know, following Jesus, I'm not submitting to a dictator. I'm submitting to my Creator. He's got good things in plan for me, in store for me, and for you. And so I made that decision to be a slave to what's right. And it's paid dividends in my life that I can't even describe. It's incredible. John 13, chapter 13, verse 13 to 15. You call me Master and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. So he's showing a model of leadership that's loving, caring, humbling, and he's just there to show us a better way, a right way, in an intimate way of love. Selfishness will keep you from being helpful and giving assistance to others. This stronghold was built by placing one selfish thought and action on top of another. By constantly making excuses for not serving others, not being there for your kids, not being there for your family, not being on time for work, not being loyal to what you tell a friend you're going to do. All this, breaking of pledges leads to a self-centered lifestyle. And we call the life of addictions in its height the kingdom of me, myself, and I. Do you agree with that? The kingdom of me, myself, and I. And if you don't see yourself as being that, ask your family. You watch someone else acting out in their addiction, and you're going to look and say, wow, is that what I look like? Yep. We get very selfish when we're in our addiction. If you passed a person whose car was broken down on the highway, you may have excused yourself by thinking, I'm in a hurry. I'm late for work. How many times have you been rude to a sales clerk? It makes no difference that the clerk was rude to you. Have you ever seen a person in a wheelchair struggling to get through a door? Were you too busy or embarrassed to offer your help? Have you ever been in the grocery checkout line when the person in front of you came up a few dollars short? Did you pretend you weren't paying enough attention, even though you could have given them a few dollars? There's many ways that we can let our serve ourselves, be self-serving, and not think of others. And so as we grow with an obedient heart, loving and caring, we're going to find ourselves being more merciful and a help to others around us. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. Even each selfish thought must be removed and replaced by a selfless thought and action. This can be done by speaking kind words in a difficult situation, offering a ride. Whether they take it or not, you've at least offered. Or purchasing groceries for a needy family. There are countless ways for you to practice selflessness and learn to serve others. List several ways in which you can serve others. So maybe just mark down some thoughts that you've had, but what you could do to help your family, to help your wife, maybe to support your husband in a venture that he's excited about. It's very important that we look to each other's interests and honor the unique creation that they are as well. I believe so many relationships break down because we're not on agreement on everything, and we don't have to be in agreement on everything, but we can love one another. My wife thinks very differently than I do. Her interests are way different than mine, but I want to serve her purposes and bless her, and let her know that I love her. There's times in the past I didn't do that as well as I do today as I've gotten older. I'm learning today that relationships are important. What I invest in as a husband, and you know the very word husband means gardener. If you're a husband, your wife is like your garden, and you nurture, you water with love, with kindness. It's like you're nurturing a plant, and you're going to watch this beautiful plant bring forth a beautiful flower, and see her that way. Husband means gardener. So the true model of a husband, if you're not sure how to do it, go learn to garden. Learn what it means to garden. You can't make plants grow, but you can provide the opportunity by watering, taking out the weeds, guarding them a little bit, making sure they're well cared for, and you'll see a beautiful garden come forth. And then you got to learn to prune it, take care of it. And so that's like relationships. We're called to be gardeners, not controllers. We can't control our wife's feelings or emotions. And if you're a woman, you can't control your man's thoughts or why he thinks differently than you. You may want to be heard, and you wish he'd listen more to you. I wish you would too, because I learned to do that later in my life. And if you're a woman suffering from that, I'm sorry that you've experienced impatience from men, maybe from your husband or people that were significant. I'm sorry for that, because as a young man, I wasn't all the greatest at being a gardener or a husband either. I learned that after many years of living, and I'm still learning to do that today. So give grace to your husband to learn those things. Learn to bless his interests, and see how that turns around and comes back to you. And you pray in the meantime. That's where prayer comes in. Lord, would you bless our relationship? And two magnets pushing each other are repelling. So Lord, I want to be one who flips my magnet so the other one's drawn to you, because there's sweetness on your spirit. There's sweetness in your thoughts. There's sweetness on your countenance. And people are drawn to that. And they want to be with you. If you're a grumbler or a complainer, no wonder people don't want to be around you and I. When I was grumbling and complaining, why would people want to be around me? But now that I'm more positive and edifying, I find I walk into a room, people gather around me. They want to hug. They want an encouraging word, just to say hi. Because friendships have been built, and I've learned to be kind. I've learned, and I'll give this to you tonight as a nugget. We can add value to the people that we meet every day. You know that? You have the power in you to add value to others by laying down your life and encouraging, blessing, thinking the best of another person. If they have a victory, celebrate it. If they get a breakthrough, don't feel jealous, celebrate it. And because they're part of your family, they're part of your network, they're part of your community. And so we can choose to be a blessing. And so when I tell you, I believe in what you're doing is right, I'm adding value to you and to your choices. If I was to say, oh, you missed your homework last night, what an idiot, and I just made you feel humiliated for that, well, you might not go on to learn any more lessons. But if I'm here to encourage you and say, you know what, if you missed a day or two, I'm glad you're back. And I really mean that. If you've missed a day or two here and there, I'm just glad you're back. If you've missed a lot, you may want to go back to step one, day one, and just start all the way through again. You can scroll down on my Facebook until you get to step one, day one. Whatever you need to break through, I'm encouraging you to do that, because I want to see you get through this, and you can do it. You really can. So I'm counting on you. Are you ready to serve God by serving others? That's a yes or no. Are you ready to serve God by serving others? Just mark down yes or no. We're working on it. Prayer, you can pray this with me. Jesus, I make you Lord over all my life. Help me remove the selfishness from my life and develop the heart of a servant. Make me aware of opportunities to show kindness and be helpful to others. That's a beautiful prayer. Jesus, I make you Lord of my life, Lord over all my life. Help me remove the selfishness from my life and develop the heart of a servant. Make me aware of opportunities to show kindness and be helpful to others. So your meditation is Ephesians 4, verse 28. Ephesians 4, 28. Let him who steals, steal no longer, but rather let him labor, performing with his own hands what is good, in order that he may have something to share with him who has need. That's a beautiful verse. See how practical these verses are? Ephesians 4:28. Let him who steals, just stop. If you've been stealing, taking things that aren't yours, stop. Let him who steals, steal no more, but rather let him labor, begin to work with your hands, performing with his own hands what is good, in order that he may have something to share with him who is in need. There's nothing like taking someone out for a meal or coffee when you've earned that money and you've worked for it, and then you have the ability to take someone out. Or you can bless someone who's struggling, or a mom with some groceries that her husband's not around. So there's different ways that we can be a blessing. So again, you're going to say, today I will make right choices and regain control of my life. Let's say that together. Today I will make right choices and regain control of my life. And you're going to date it, today's date, and then you're going to sign it. Again, this is our 24-hour contract with God, with me, and with you. And my encouragement to you is be true to your contract, and you're going to be another day into this sobriety and insanity. And may the Lord be restoring your mind. May he be giving you an additional peace in your spirit that you're getting some traction. Celebrate these victories. If you're getting some days in, tell someone. Tell someone who's proud of you that you've been clean for 3 days or 10 days, or this is our 3rd week. You're making gains. You really are. And so you need to let people celebrate that with you. The joy of operating in an obedient heart. So I want you to meditate on that as your homework, this thing about an obedient heart. If that still is a little bit of a twang within you, the word obedience, I want you to pray about that. So why am I so reactive to the word obedience? What negative ways have I developed ways of thinking and thinking about that? And so it may mean if you've got a reaction in you to the word obedience, God may show you a father or grandfather or a teacher. He may show you someone in your past that was heavy-handed with you, and you just, we talked about oaths a couple of days ago. You just said, no one's ever going to control me again. I'm not going through this, And so you make an oath, you react. And so you may need to forgive. And I encourage you, when you do these things, do them out loud with your words. Lord, I choose to forgive that heavy-handed parent or grandparent, heavy-handed teacher, those that may got in trouble earlier in your life, a correctional officer or a guard. Lord, I forgive them for being overpowering. Maybe you had a bad encounter with the police in a domestic dispute. Lord, I forgive them. They're just people. They're just people, but you no longer have to be submitted under them. You're an adult. You've moved on from there. And now you can choose to learn, Lord, show me what true obedience is. I want to understand what it means to be obedient, the obedience that brings freedom, the obedience that brings a loyalty to you, my Creator, and a loyalty to your word. And this will make you a great blessing to others. So God bless you, fulfill your contract, and I'll see you tomorrow night at supper time.